being on a sports bike stuck in traffic, it's just wrong, isn't it, on so many levels. But anyway, welcome back to Gilly Bikes. I'm free of traffic. So yeah, this is today's little beast, this little fun thing. So let's just cut to a more appropriate place for a walk round. For a bike like this, there's only one place I could think of to have a look round it. What better place to stop and admire this bike than a racetrack? So I'm at the Three Sisters racetrack in Wigan, and this is Yamaha's XSR 900 GP. Look at the state. Now, we'll have a look around the usual way shortly, but I'll throw a few facts and figures at you first. So firstly, this bike starts at around £12,500. There's always extras, there's always things you can buy to bump the price up, but £12,500 is the starting point. Big thanks to Wigan Yamaha for letting me take this out today, and I've got to say the very short ride from Wigan Yamaha over to the Three Sisters already has got me hooked on this bike, and I don't often say that about sports bikes. But let's have a look round the usual way. I'll throw some specs at you as we're going. Just look at that close up. What an absolute machine that is. Now, I've got to say, first off, I love this bike looks wise, and I don't think it's going to be everyone's cup of tea, because as modern sports bikes go, it's got a bit of a classic look, a bit of a classic twist to it. The front end is going to be very much a love it or hate it. I like it personally, but I could see why others wouldn't, just because of quite a big area there for the screen, and then you've got this little itty bitty light at the front, and I know it's supposed to be an old classic looking machine. You can see the styling touches that look like it's a much older bike, such as this rear end just looks like it's a classic race machine. But as I said, I like it, but I can see why others wouldn't. Let's start with the engine. So this has got Yamaha's 890cc engine, 117 mighty horses. Now this bike has been fitted with the Akrapovic exhaust. I know everyone says it different, but that's just how I'm saying it today. I'll probably say it different next time. It has a 14 litre fuel tank. If you bought one, let me know what sort of miles you're getting out of a full tank. A tubeless tyres, Nissan calipers on the front and on the rear. The seat height is 835 millimeters. So for somebody short like I am, I'm not afraid to say it, I'm 5'8", 29-inch inseam. I'm on the balls of my feet. It doesn't feel too tall for me. It feels like a lot of bikes do, to be fair. I'm kind of a little bit off getting me heels down, but not much. It's 200 kilograms is the wet weight, so you can move it forward with your feet. It does feel quite heavy when you're moving it about, but that doesn't transfer to riding. It rides like any sports bike, just light and nimble. It's got a key. It's not keyless. They've not gone down that route with this one, but I think it's better for it. Classic bike needs to have a key, doesn't it? None of this keyless stuff. As much as the walk round and you can see the style of the bike, the screen is anything but classic. Yamaha have gone for a nice TFT screen on here, and you can see there's a lot of information on there. You've got a couple of different modes. You have got rain mode, which I'm hoping I don't have to use today. You've got street mode and the sport mode, and then there's a couple of customizable ones as well, but I'm going to keep it in sport mode because I want to take advantage of the dry weather today. Bar end wing mirrors. Now for me, I don't know how I feel about it on a sports bike. I like bar end mirrors on cruisers, I like them on a lot of street bikes, but on a sports bike I'm not sure whether or not it suits it. But I've got to say, they're very practical. You can see everything you need to, but you are leant over the tank. So if you imagine you're leant over the tank, a mirror being here would be better than it being all the way back here, because it means you've got to kind of, if you you imagine your seating positions there to look in the mirror, instead of just looking at a mirror that's here, you've got to or look at it in the corner of your eye, so you're taking your eyes off what's in front of you. It's just a shame I can't throw it on the track. Now, what I'm gonna say is today is dry for the moment, and I want to make the most of that. So I want to take this bike out. We're going to try it on a few different types of roads. We'll try it through towns, we'll try it on a couple of twisties, we'll open it up a bit, see what it's like. It's a classic sports bike, so it has the lean forward position that you've got from a sports bike. You have got those, a lot of weight going on the wrist, or I have, my problem. But yeah, let's go for a ride. We'll see how it rides. You've heard the specs, or you've heard some of them. I've not bored you with all of them, purely because I'm quite late to the party for this bike. I know that, but that's just because my YouTube channel's not huge. It's growing, and I appreciate all you new subscribers. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining. But because of the size of my channel, I've got to chase bikes. I've got to constantly just push and push and push to try and get test rides. People don't come to me. Obviously they don't come to me because it's not big enough. But I keep doing it for your benefit, so you can see what these bikes are like. And if you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe, because I really do put a lot of effort in to bringing these reviews out for you, whether it be new bikes like this or used bikes, bargains, tours, whatever. I'm doing a lot of stuff, so I'd appreciate, give us a subscribe. Come on, you can come back and watch some more stuff. And I'm actually getting sweat on today. It's very, very warm, and this Oxford jacket is brilliant, but it's, I don't know, I always have it as my summer jacket, but there's no vents or anything in it, so I'm getting a bit of a sweat on. So I need to do some riding, get the air on me a little bit. So let's go for a ride. Let's see what it's like. Would I buy one? Should I buy one? Should you buy one? Let me know in the comments what you think about the bike. If there's anything that I've missed out, which there may be, but if there is something I've missed out, put it in the comments, and I can always contact the guys at Wigan Yamaha for you if you want a little bit of extra information and I've not mentioned it. Apologies if that's the case. Otherwise, let's go for a ride. Let's see how this handles on the road. Looking forward to it. My wrists aren't though, but come on, let's go. What do you think of the walk round? Now, what I will say with this bike, initially when I sat on it, it felt like a really, really sporty position where you leant forward quite a lot and it's very wrist heavy, but after riding it for a little while, you can kind of lean back a little bit just to take a bit of pressure off your wrists. But when you're riding it hard, there's no getting around it. It's a sports bike. It's a sports bike riding position. It's very wrist heavy. There's got to be people out there that love it, and there's going to be people out there that don't like it, because it has got that old classic looking racing bike look to it. Old classic looking racing bike look to it. Tongue twister. But it looks like a bike from years past, doesn't it? I'm kind of at an age where sports bikes really don't do it for me. I'm going to put that out there now, because I don't want it to sound negative at all on this, because it's a great bike. But sports bikes, for me, it's kind of difficult when you've put a bit of extra beef on, like I have, because the extra weight on your wrists makes them hurt that little bit sooner. Also, you've got a big obstruction kind of in the midriff, so it can make a bit of an uncomfortable riding position on out and out sports bikes, whereas I think it has got a sporty position. I am leant forward quite a lot, to be fair, but the tank feels quite low down. So what that means for me and my midriff, my too large stomach, but what it means is I'm not pressed up against the tank in a position where it's really uncomfortable for me that way, which is good. It's very good, in fact. Oh, what the hell is this thing doing? Fuck. Fucking hell. Some people can't drive. Loads of bikes out today. I think it's one of those days now, isn't it? We're in the summer. This is as nice as it's going to get, so there's going to be bikes out. But yeah, going back to the seat position. So it's a sporty feel. However, because the tank's quite low, you're not pressed against it like you would be on one of the modern sports bikes. I could name quite a few of them. I'm not going to do it, but you get the drift. So one thing I do like about a sports bike, that I still like about a sports bike, and that is just the sheer agility of them. To be able to just nip in and out of traffic. You can tell that they are very track focused, the way you can just dodge in and out of traffic, and that's just what this feels like. On the move, it's unbelievably light and nimble, even for an old fart like me. And I've said previously, I prefer the smaller engined sports bikes. I do, I always have. I think 600, 750 for me is just a bit of a sweet spot. I find them to be more manageable. They're a bit lighter, they're just easier for somebody of my height and build and everything. I just find them easier and nicer to ride. But this being slightly bigger at 890cc, yeah, it just feels like a small sports bike. And I think it's because of the classic looks, and it's quite stripped down, and it's not got loads and loads of extra bits on, so it has retained the kind of nimbleness of a smaller bike. All of this stuff here, you know, being able to just move from side to side, to throw it around a bit, and it is effortless, it just glides. So I've got to say, like, the riding experience on the road at normal road speeds, through towns, through a city to a certain extent, built up traffic, it's a delight. It's nice to ride. Now, is a sports bike my first choice for town or city riding? No, it isn't, but it is capable of doing those things, and that ultimately is what you want. If you want a sports bike, you're not getting it for the town and city riding, but you know, you're gonna have to do it at some point. Where this is going to excel, and I can feel it already, is just throwing it round the bends, the odd little blast on the straights, because it does feel it does feel nice and nippy. I will say this bike is drawing loads of attention at the racetrack. People will come in for a look, and just off riding, it just seems to be a bike that everybody just has to give it a second glance. I've seen a couple of wows, I've seen a couple of woes, a couple of people admiring it. So yeah, I think I'm the envy of a lot of people today riding this machine. Yamaha's R7 is possibly the bike that I would go for if I wanted a sports bike. I think that has been my favourite up to now. So I'm going to see how this compares. What I will say of my initial impression on this bike is it seems to be quite a bit quicker than the R7. It seems to have loads more grunt to it, but it feels more aggressive in the sporty riding position as well. So what you're giving up in comfort, you're getting back tenfold in power, because it really does feel like an absolute monster, this bike. And I cannot wait to get to the dual carriageway, get to some nationals, open the bike up and just show you exactly what I mean. Because this bike, when you wind it on, it's feisty, especially in sport mode. Definitely have to keep it in sport mode. It just feels like it always wants to go. I feel like I'm having to rein it in and hold it back. It's like taking a very big, excitable dog for a walk. It just feels like it wants to go, and you're just having to rein it in and hold it back and just try and stop it from going. Oh, come on, you nationals. It really, really does want to go. Just very, very excitable. And it's making me very excitable as well. And I don't know how many times I've said it about sports bikes, but I do feel like I'm over sports bikes a little bit, and I grew up on them. They were the bike I always gravitated to, but now I've got older, I just think, no, I want something with power, but it has to be comfortable for long journeys and yada yada yada. But then I go on this or the R7, and instantly I forget and just go, this is awesome. The quick changer, when you are riding it a little bit aggressively, the gear changes, they're just butter smooth. They just goes into gear, absolutely no mither at all. It's really, really nice. But I've found that on Yamahas in the past. I do think the quick shifters for me they're the best out there, the best I've tried. Anyway, okay. Now, you see, normally when I do a test such as that, I might giggle a little bit, I might laugh a little bit, but it's kind of impossible to. Okay, this is unbelievably addictive, Now, I said before, when you ride something like this, normally when I do a performance test and it gives you that kind of thrill moment, it gives you that bit of a buzz, I can't stop giggling. The problem is on this bike is because it feels unbelievably quick, like the pickup is like instant, it's taking my breath away. Having to have the lid open while I talk to you, and then I give a little bit of throttle and this thing just takes off, and as it takes off it just takes my breath. It just completely takes my breath to the point of I just can't speak, I can't laugh, I definitely can't speak and talk to you about it. Bit of a breath stopper, but my god, it's nice and quick, very nice and quick. Let's break this boy down now. So as a bike to look at, again, always subjective. I think everyone's got their own opinion on what's nice, what's not nice. Now personally, I would say the looks on this bike are just right for me. A lot of modern sports bikes, they're all very similar looking, aren't they? They're all very similar looking. I know they're all slightly different, but they're similar. Whereas this kind of isn't. This looks like something completely different. You can't really compare it to another sports bike out there as far as looks goes. It's just different, and I like that it's different. I love the bright colours on this. It just makes it look like it's ready for the track. And it's just a lovely bike to look at. Now, I would love to know your opinion, whether you like it, whether you don't like it, just because I'm always interested in what kind of split I've got with the likes and don't likes. But even if you don't like the looks of it, you just can't argue with the ride and performance of it. If you're looking for something for the twisties, something to throw around, oh, you could do worse than this bike, you know. I kind of don't want to take it back, but I know I have to. And I know from a, you know, if it was my only bike, if I went and bought a bike like this, then yeah, I'd have loads and loads of fun, but I'd have loads and loads of pain as well. And I think from a personal point of view, it would be amazing to go and spend a day on like today, have an absolute blast on, but then I'd probably need a couple of weeks rest from riding it, just purely because of the position and just, yeah, probably just mainly down to the aggressive position, because I am getting a bit of wrist ache now. I'm having to constantly change my position to try and ease the pain a little bit, but that's just sports bikes for me. And when you're on one for a length of time, that's just what you're going to get, and that's what I'm getting today. So yeah, it's an amazing bike, but you'd have to have a day on, a week off, a day on, a week off. That's how I would have to do it. So I don't think it would work for me as like my only bike, because I do tend to ride quite a lot and quite often. Got to round it off there. I'll just end up repeating myself. It's one of those bikes that is very, very good. I recommend it 100%. So if you're interested, I'll put a link in the description for Wigan Yamaha. For now, I'm just going to go and have a play on the bike and enjoy it without having to talk. I'll catch you guys on the next one. So from me, it's a toodles.